Hey guys, I'm Vedant and I'm a course rep at full-time logistics and supply chain management here at Cranfield. I just wanted to take time out today to get to know my fellow mates and how they're doing. As recently they had a warehouse visit, so I'm just going to hear a few things about the warehouse visit. As I went to John Lewis warehouse, which was amazing, so I want to hear the other warehouses were like. So how was your visit to House of Fraser?
Well, House of Fraser, that's being run by XPO Logistics,
Alright.
Supply chain partners for House of Fraser. And XPO in itself, they're one of the biggest logistics providers in the world. They come among the top 10 and they've done a pretty much good job with House of Fraser. It was earlier with DHL, but then House of Fraser gave the entire contract to XPO and they're doing a magnificent job, which is why they've been upgraded to the supply chain partner.
All right. So what were the biggest highlights of your visit?
I think the best part would definitely have been seeing most of the theories or most of the ideas that we learned within the classroom being put into practice. A lot of the equipments, we were able to understand better why it is being used or why this is most suitable for this particular area. And I would say that's the best.
And how do you link from what you've learned in the classroom and how you've felt the difference getting into a warehouse and understanding like the equipments and all?
So we have this warehouse design assignment as part of a module. Now that you've been to a warehouse and you've seen how the operations take place, you have a better idea of how the layout is and why a particular equipment is suited to a particular section. If they have maybe for now, let's say, you have a lot of products coming back as part of the reverse supply chain, a lot of products being returned. So they have a particular area for that, a different processing area for that. So you understand how better, I would say, to design a warehouse and maybe why a certain equipment is required for a particular warehouse.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing your experience. Which warehouse did you go to?
I had the pleasure of visiting John Lewis. It was my first choice, so I was super happy.
All right. So how was the warehouse visit and how did it go?
Well, it was actually really good. What really caught my attention was the cleanliness of the warehouse, because in my head I thought warehouses were busy and scattered and everything, but this was really clean, and it was most of the facilities or whatever was automated, so it was really good.
How was, as I heard, there was an alumni who took you around, Marcus. So how was your experience with the presentation he gave us, and did you get something from there?
Yeah, when he spoke, he talked about, he wasn't the tour guide. So he just told us about John Lewis and the capacity of the warehouse and their vision for the future. They are very long-term oriented, so they like to focus on the future.
What about the highlights of your time at Cranfield? What do you enjoy the most?
Oh, sorry. Cranfield is a wonderful university. I mean, it's they have wonderful staffs that are obviously very well grounded in the course, like supply chain and logistics. So it's really nice attending lectures and speaking to these lecturers and them impacting you with the knowledge.
So, which warehouse did you get a chance to visit?
So I went to the John Lewis at the Magna Park.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what were the biggest highlights of the visit at Magnum Park?
Well, the highlight was that the John Lewis, we're lucky to go there because it's the benchmark of the European warehouse and distribution system. So we're lucky to get an appointment because of Cranfield connections.
All right. So what were the interesting things you learned at the warehouse visit?
Interesting that we got to talk to the employees and get a first-hand experience on the whole operations.
All right. Yeah. So what did you? How do you link it with your things you've learned from the warehouse, and how do you think you've linked it with the project you're doing?
It actually links a lot because we got to learn the the technical terms in class, but then we got to experience it for real in the trip, such as we got to see the automated system, such as the mini load system.
Yeah. Which warehouse visit did you get a chance to visit?
To go to the Travel Speakings.
All right.
Yes,
Is that in Northampton?
Yeah, Northampton is not really far from here, so yeah.
All right. So what was the most interesting thing about the warehouse?
So before we arrived there, we all get an email saying we need to collect your shoe size because we need to prepare shoes for you just in case you get yourself hurt or too slippery in the warehouse. And most importantly, they want to keep the warehouse clean. So we report it, and as soon as we get there, someone's working in the warehouse. They lead us to, okay, here's the rooms you can put all your stuff in, and now you can change. So
all right.
Yeah, and some of the directors really nice, friendly. So they say, oh, this is area for the customer service where we collect all the orders from around countries and how we send it out, and then okay, let's go into warehouse. I can say that is the first time I go into the really big warehouse like that.
All right.
I work in a warehouse before, logistics before, but it's not like this. This is really good for me, actually, I can say. It's not really robotic, automatic everywhere, but some of the part like picking, unloading still need to involve some manual work. But it's still really interesting for me to look at how the warehouse really work, the real life, real working environments in the warehouse. So yeah, it's really nice.
So and what? How do you think it will support you for your further studies and like any further ambitions?
Yeah, like I said before, I work in a warehouse, so I have a little bit working experience. So, in the lectures, we learn is the theoretical perspective of the warehouse, how it works, what is it involved, and what is the ideal situation in there. But when we really get into the warehouse, we have the chance to ask what's the challenge you faced, how to deal with it, and some like perspective you would not think about, like the outbound logistic part. They work with DHL, and they really need DHL's they send some officer here to really work closely to them. It's not like separated. It's not like something we really think, oh, it should work like this, it should work like that. Yes, it's just like real picture of the warehouse working.
So which warehouse did you get a chance to visit?
Travis Perkins.
All right, how was it?
It's good experience, and the most interesting thing is in most logistic warehouse, in my experience when I visit, it doesn't have like some specific facility for staff or workers. I think it means like lack of facility for them. But when I visit there, they well like organized facility for especially for staffs and workers, such as a canteen or discussion like a room.
All right.
Something. It is the most impressive.
What did you learn from the warehouse visit?
It was amazing experience actually. It was a massive warehouse, and what we learned is that distribution centers, they are maintaining it very, very nicely. They according to sustainability, according to our environment, because they are using all the electric machinery there. And the new thing is learning how we receive the goods and how we dispatch back the goods.
So what do you think, how the warehouse visit, do you link it with the future ambitions of yours?
It is definitely it will help in future if we are working in a warehousing. So warehousing, we learn how we can take the orders and how we can dispatch the orders back. So this is amazing experience.
All right, and thanks a lot for your time.